It's time to break down the Under Armour New Orleans recruits one by one.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day right here on the nation's #1 sports podcasting network, Locked On. We're going to be breaking down a plethora of prospects from Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, and of course, Louisiana with the New Orleans Under Armour camp just finishing up yesterday. Yours truly was there. There are videos out at FBScout_Florida on Instagram, on X, and I'm going to spend the afternoon and evening just putting out a ton of them. TikTok, YouTube Shorts, you name it. So wherever you want to get your info, it will certainly be available. But most importantly, I just want to run down the list right here on this live show. If you have questions, if you want to look at things from a big box perspective, and you listen to this later on, post on the YouTube page, I will be happy to answer them. But we're going to go down the list and just talk about the players, starting at quarterback and go all the way through DB, recruiting lists, visits, who looked good, some new guys that will be earning offers. We'll be discussing them. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's just dive in and have a good time with this. All right. First off, again, starting with quarterback, Malachi Ziegler. This is a quarterback I think it's a little bit underrated. He plays at Benton, Louisiana. It's a small program in northwest Louisiana, committed to Rhett Lashley and SMU. When he went out there, it had been a little while since I'd seen Malachi. I'm like, who's that? Because he just looked jacked. And I'm like, holy cow. Looking at my sheet, that's Malachi Ziegler. He looks totally different. Like he's put on some serious mass, and he also has some serious velocity with his passes. He can spin it. That is a guy that there are going to be some schools, especially in the South, that are going to be like, man, we should have went after him. Really talented. I thought he was as good a passer as there was there. And again, the velocity is a part of it. He's a mobile quarterback. I really like him, and he will fit in with the Lashley system at SMU. That's a great fit. Peyton Houston, the LSU commitment. This is another guy with a lot of velocity. He's from Evangel Christian, the famous program in Shreveport, Louisiana. He's got a hose. Right? He's got a cannon. He's a good athlete. He can run around. I'm curious to see what Kiffin does, because the offense that he plays in, it's more just drop back and let it fly. I think he'll run a little bit more once he gets to LSU. Nothing that I saw change that, but I do want to add, he seemed to have more base, more consistency with his throwing motion and everything, and he was still very accurate. The only thing that I think he needs to do moving forward, like a lot of quarterbacks that have God-given arm strength, Houston needs to actually tone it down occasionally and just feather the ball in once in a while. But the arm is there, the mobility is there, and he's playing at a program that's coached quarterbacks at a high level for a very long time, very high upside. The young man that I think nobody probably is going to know outside of the people where he lives is, and I hope I pronounce this properly, Richmond Sanier, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Lafayette, Louisiana. This is a kid, I had no idea who he was going into the day. CJ Bailey, guy I work with who runs Coastline Stars, said, number 110, go check him out. I really like him. I'm like, okay. And he didn't even know who he was. We both started watching. I watched on one end, he watched on the other. That kid can really spin it. He plays at Lafayette High, about an hour west of Baton Rouge. Very accurate, especially with the deep ball. Plays at a program that doesn't have a ton of talent, but he stood out throughout the entirety of the camp as a quarterback. He will be a kid that ends up getting some offers. Great young man. Dad's a good dude. Like, those are the kinds of people you want in your program. Richmond is not just a normal football player in terms of how he absorbs it either. When I was speaking to him after the camp, you could tell he understood what is necessary to win, talking about different position groups, style of play, everything else. He's got it above the shoulder. So I think he's going to be a fast riser. Moving to running back, the only one guy I really had a chance to watch much. I saw a little bit of it, but when the running backs and linebackers are on the field, that's when the one-on-ones are going for the linemen, and that's where everybody goes. So my apologies if you're a linebacker or running back. But I did interview Ty Keys just for a moment. He's the elite running back at Poplarville down in Southwest Mississippi. He's got an offer from about every school in the country. And I saw him catch a few passes, whatnot. Great athlete. I already knew that. The film stands out. He told me Alabama, Ole Miss, Florida State, and Miami are the schools that he's looking at. I expect him to end up wherever he wants to go. That list could expand. But he did note that Kiffin hasn't offered him at LSU, because I asked, I said, why no LSU? And he said they hadn't offered it. I thought that was interesting. He's a big-time player, but I don't think that Alabama, Ole Miss, Miami, or Florida State care, among others. He has OBs to those programs, and he will probably add another, I'm sure. Watch out for Miami. He really likes the Hurricanes. If you like speed, the following player, to my knowledge, has the fastest 40 that I've ever heard at an Under Armour camp. I don't know if there's a faster one. I'll have to look into it. But I was told by multiple people, Kenyon Allen out of Mary G. Montgomery High School, that's just outside of Mobile. Ready for this? 4.25. I'm going to say that again. 4.25 40. Now, he's not the biggest guy. He's probably 5'7", 5'8", but I do not care. And he was dominant in the one-on-ones. He ran by everybody. Somebody's going to take a chance on this kid. He's got a few offers, but once the film from the UC report goes out to all the Division I schools, it will be intriguing to see where Allen ends up. Somebody's going to take him just as a punt returner, but he can play slot. He is very shifty. He can catch the ball over his shoulders. He did it multiple times for touchdowns. I got him on film. That is a cat that I would never want to be one-on-one on an island with, because if you do not get hands-on and change the direction that he's going, it's lights out. 4.25 is world-class speed, and he has another year of high school. So, again, Kenyon Allen, Mary G. Montgomery High School, just outside Mobile, that is a dude. Speaking of Alabama wide receivers, kid I know well, plays for Coastline Stars, Deshawn Hall out of Prattville, which is basically Montgomery, Alabama. It's a suburb. He had the catch of the day. He basically got face planted as the DB was actually in great position, but landed on him, and he still caught the ball through the catch. He said he blacked out for a second afterwards. Hope he's okay today, but he was all right after the play, but he came up with it. One-handed grab, going to the ground, getting smashed. Deshawn Hall, 6'5", 180-some pounds, 190 pounds. He's got great hands. He had multiple one-handed catches during the event. That's a young man that has a world upside. Just needs to add some weight, but he's a hooper. When you're a basketball player, keeping weight on is not the easiest thing. When he gets to college, excuse me, I imagine that he'll play just football. At least that's the plan from what he's told me. And that's probably why Bama, they're going after him hard. Tennessee, just a plethora of schools. He's going to visit Auburn soon. I think it's this week. Excuse me. Clemson, Michigan, you name it. They're all after him. You just can't teach 6'5". Do I think Deshaun is a guy that's going to end up being in the top 100 on some recruiting lists? Probably. Seeing that catch that again, it's FB Scout _4. If you want to check it out on Instagram, on X, etc. That is a big-time player. I doubt that many people that watch his film are going to at least be intrigued. And like, I didn't have to try to figure out where he was in line. He was the tallest guy there in the receiver group. He's a legit 6'5". So that's a really good prospect. When we come back, we're going to continue on with the list right here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Mazda and moving the game forward by Mazda. For those who show the score never tells the entire story. And that's what I want to talk about today. I've gotten into video and photography a little bit at these events, and there are a lot of people that many of you go on social media. Many of you, like Hayes Fawcett is obviously, some people know about him. He lives in Louisiana. I was talking to Hayes yesterday at the event, but there are a lot of people that go to these events that don't have a big brand like Rivals, like Hayes does, or the Locked On Podcast Network like I do, to show their stuff. Give them respect. They do incredible jobs with some of these editing tools they use, and just the photography and video, certainly better than I do. And it makes it better for all of us to go check out all these events, learn more about these prospects. It's awesome. There's more to these players in the highlights, the early mornings, late night runs, constantly showing up for their squad on and off the court. The all-new Mazda CX-5 moves the same way. With more space to connect, a bold new design, and more intuitive technology so you can stay connected to the road in every position you play. The all-new Mazda CX-5, more to move every side of you. We are also brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy has the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft, 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, Cotton Candy, and there's something for just about anybody. It's up to you, but the board is set. The flavors are ready. And my number one pick is blue raspberry. It is always blue raspberry for me in terms of what I want, but I want to talk about some others. I talk about it a lot. A couple of things about 5 Hour Energy. You got to give them credit for being very innovative. Let's go over Confetti Craze. Delicious blend of rich and buttery, freshly baked confetti cake, smooth vanilla frosting, and a sprinkle of sweetness in every sip. If you like any kind of vanilla, and I love vanilla, this is something you should probably try. Mix it up. If you're a 5 Hour Energy person, that's a new flavor for you. And they are available online at 5hourenergy.com or over at Amazon. Make sure you check out the Everydayer Club down below. Last chance coming up today, tomorrow. 1 month free. Use code MARCH for the Everydayer Club. That's right. 1 month free. After that, 5 months, or excuse me, $5 a month or $50 for the year. You get no ads on your audio feed. Check out the Everydayer Club. All right, let's just continue in. I've got a whole bunch more players to talk about. We're not even a third of the way through yet, so let's get diving in. Miguel Whitley, a kid I know well from St. Aug in New Orleans, strong receiver. He's got some serious athleticism, strong hands. He's been nursing a hamstring part of this spring. He looks pretty good, though, right now. I was talking to him about it. He made several big plays during one-on-ones. He's got 4 OBs. LSU, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Tennessee are among them. He really doesn't know where he's going, but that's a player that, like, he can go to a lot of different places. He just doesn't know where he wants to go. He's got to take his visits. Look out for Tennessee. That's an interesting one because they're down to like maybe one spot. I'll be curious to see where that goes because Easton Royal, the kid I'm getting ready to talk about, he just had a great visit to Tennessee. That's another possibility. He's the receiver at Brother Martin. Some have him ranked as the number 1 receiver in the country. Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU, and Florida official visits. He told me he doesn't want to go north, doesn't want to play in the cold. He already told Ohio State that he's not going to go because just not going to play in the cold. Here's the interesting part. Before the receivers really got rolling, several of them were in the group. I was speaking with Easton, and I said, you're committed to Texas, and I know that you don't have the biggest offer from the Longhorns. Talking about NIL, there were some guys saying they didn't think he was going to go to Texas. And I said, I think that's where he's going to go, and we're all just arguing and having fun. He said he has other offers that are higher. I bet you Tennessee is one of those. I wouldn't be surprised if Ole Miss is another one. They've really upped their game as well. I didn't ask Easton which team it was, but he said, again, he really likes Texas. They do a good job of recruiting him. He likes campus and all that stuff, and they do not have the highest NIL offer to him. So his recruitment is not over yet, but Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU, Florida, those are OBs. It could change up, but that's a really interesting list. Well, Marcus Jones, offensive lineman out of Brentwood Academy. That's at least what's listed in one place. I saw my guy, Sam Spiegelman, say he's at Callaway. I'm not sure which it is. That's in Jackson, Mississippi. But he's an offensive lineman that is big time, tremendous frame. He's lean. He's not a heavy guy. He's got to be one of the better looking kids just on the hoof that I saw yesterday, regardless of position. Again, well, Marcus Jones, Li''Marcus. If you want to look him up, that kid can move. I think he's got a chance to be a really good offensive tackle at the college level. Caden Moss, the 5-star. For those of you that are watching this live or looking at it on YouTube later on, he's the thumbnail that I used. My guy, Shay Hodge, was his coach over at Jackson Academy this last year. He talked him up, and he's got a couple other really good players that were also there. PJ Evans, Reggie Harper, took photos of all of them, sent them over to Shay. That offensive line was ridiculous. But Caden's a 5-star kid, and he's trying to narrow it down, and it's hard. Ohio State, LSU, and Ole Miss, he told me, are going to get OBs, and he was one of the better guys there and just like pure talent, but I think he's a better interior lineman. I thought there were some other guys that actually were even better at pass pro than him, but he's an NFL offensive lineman, barring something unforeseen. Level-headed kid, yes sir, no sir. I took a photo of him, and he wanted me to make sure I got photos of his teammates, like really respectful. This is the kind of guy you build your football program around. Props to Caden Moss. That's how you do it. I really respect him, and he's fun to watch because you can't teach 320 that moves like that. Antonio Berry, speaking of athleticism and big dudes, that is another guy. Maybe the most aggressive offensive lineman that was there. Debatable, but Tupelo kid. They've always got players up there in northeast Mississippi. And Antonio was a kid, played tackle. He really wanted to hit people hard, shock them, try to set the edge that way. I'm curious if he can be a guy that can really be patient too, but that's a long and athletic player. All kinds of offers, Bama, Ole Miss, LSU, the usual suspects. Don't know where he's going, but that's an elite player. That's the first time I'd seen him, and I'm like, who's that guy? I marked him down on my list pretty quick. Maybe the surprise of the tournament. He got invited. Like, he's got hardly any offers. This is why going to camps and competing is awesome. If you want to get there, if you want the O's, this is what you do. Terry Hilliard, I had no idea who this guy was. He's from Laverne, Alabama. Hell, I don't even know where Laverne, Alabama was. I had to look it up on the map. If I remember right, it's south of Montgomery, just out in the sticks. He got invited to the UA game. Nobody really knew much about it. He had a bunch of small offers, and that's it. But he played really well. He's probably going to be an interior lineman, in my opinion. But that just shows you, if you do well enough, you will earn it. And this film is going to go out. He's going to end up with offers. Congrats to him. Another kid that I think should get offers, I think he'd be a great center at the next level, Taboris Lofton out of Clinton, Mississippi. That's a program that's had some players over the years. Really strong hands. Like, when he made contact with somebody, that was probably going to be it. If he got you square, you weren't going to move him that much. He would anchor down. It was over. And, again, he plays at Clinton. That's a program that's had some players. I didn't find his 247 arrivals profile. Maybe I missed something, but Tyboris, Tyboris Lofton, I think he's going to end up getting some offers, and he's now on the map. Caleb Unger, he's out of Madison Ridgeland Academy. I think that's in the Jackson area. Consistent, sound. He's a guy that just has a little bit better than average technique for a young guy, to say the least. I'm being very conservative. He's committed to Mississippi State. Not necessarily the highest rated kid. I have a feeling that his ranking, again, once this film circulates, more offers come out. Caleb Unger is probably one of the better guys there. Moving over to defense, and again, this is just partial list. I haven't went through all the film, by the way. Moving over to defense, Derwin Fields out of Brookhaven, Mississippi, kid in the southern part of the state. When I saw him come onto the field, they were warming up. I'm like, okay, that kid looks the part. Who is this? I had to look him up. I'm like, okay, I've heard of him. He's got a bunch of offers, all kinds of SEC schools, but the length to get off the frame to weigh 280 is there if he really wanted to go that route. Just depends on how you want to build him up. I think he has a world of potential, and again, the offers are there. Everybody kind of knows about him. Let's go with one 2028 kid before the break, and then we'll finish up with a whole bunch. I'm not going to do any more breaks after that. There's still a long way to go here. Keoni Snipes, Saraland. I know that's a shocker for the state of Alabama, being facetious here. 2028 defensive end. Saraland is probably the most prominent program in southern Alabama. And Snipes, quite frankly, did well with the hoop drill, change of direction, the bag drills. I was watching him a little bit because he looked the part. I spoke with him a little before the event got rolling. D linemen go first at Under Armour. And then he was good in the one-on-ones as well. Touchdown Alabama did a little video on him. They were right. They're like, he dominated. He was really good. Being a 28 kid, I didn't watch him quite as much. I need to go back through some of the video. Check out Touchdown Alabama. They did a nice job with their video. But that's a player that's got a lot of upside. If he could add the strength and just do the things that he needs to off the field, Keoni Snipes could be one of the top 50 players in the country in the class of 28. Change of direction, bend, all those things are natural to him. So there's really no reason for him not to be a top 100 kid conservatively in the class of 28. Just my opinion. Not trying to say that I'm a know-it-all, but those are the guys that I look at. If you're not on that level and he's taking this rep serious, he can embarrass you. Multitude of moves and the speed and quickness, and again, the length. Like, he can keep guys away from him. I think he's going to be an elite player that'll have every major offer coast to coast. When we come back, we're going to continue on. We still got D linemen to go through. We've got a bunch of DBs to talk about. And I'm also going to break down a few recruiting situations. LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, talk about Georgia and a few others. Why this event is so important. Texas, there are several, because we're to that point now where all the OBs are getting set up. This event is going to change some of the trajectories of not just the elite five-star kids like a Caden Moss, but some of those elite kids on the rise. They just haven't gotten the stars. That is next, right here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood Prediction Markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. You always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now you can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator, play-by-play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the United States. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. We are also brought to you by our friends over at Supply House. When you get the opportunity to go into the game as somebody that has trucks on the road and doing all the different things that you need to do, this is the company for you, Supply House, because you wouldn't show up on game day without a plan, and you wouldn't show up to a job without the right parts. That's why putting Supply House in your starting lineup is always the right call. Here are the stats: 300,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products, 500 tried and true brands. 90% of the industry is also in a 1 to 2 day delivery zone. So if you need a last minute coupling, compressor, press tool, Supply House has it, and they are clutch. If you're a pro in the trade, you can also enjoy the opportunity to join the MVP program. It's got opportunities for member-only pricing, priority shipping, industry-leading customer service, and it's free. Check it out, supplyhouse.com/trademaster to learn more about becoming a trademaster. Use promo code SH5COLLEGE for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com/trademaster, promo code SH5COLLEGE. Supply House, real people, real service. All right, let's continue on with the list. This is fun for me, and I hope you all enjoy it. Please comment here in the chat. I will get to that in just 1 second. I want to finish the list first. And we're going to go on for a while because this is probably my favorite thing to do is just kind of go over these lists. And this was, again, a really, really good list. Demarcus Dale-Brown, I actually posted about him on X. He's a 2028 defensive lineman. Shocker. From the Mobile area, plays at Williamson, one of the best defenses in the country this last year. Really quick feet before and after contact. He had a great rep where I got the whole thing, and he made the guy think he was going to do a long arm, and then he just swiped and went to the side, got around really quick. He was attacking, went directly at him, wasn't going too wide, wasting time. He was attack. I really liked Dale Brown. He was a guy that I thought was one of the more schooled players on not wasting any motion. I really like that. He's got offers from several programs. I wrote down a few here. Vanderbilt, Auburn, and Texas A&M are 3 of them, but he has a bunch more. And he's 2028, so remember, only going to be a junior. Speaking of junior pass rushers, this is not from a prominent program. I'd never heard of it. Mobile Williamson, yeah, that's one you've heard of, but Buckhorn, Alabama, I had no idea. It's right on the edge of the state of Tennessee, not that far from I-65, if I remember correctly from when I looked it up earlier today. Cortez Carr Jr., he's a really good pass rusher, only going to be a junior, little undersized. The last staff at Michigan offered him, and to be honest, being where he's from, not many people knew about him, but that's why these camps are important. Go compete, earn the offer. That's how you do it. Good hands, good burst, really quick, nice bend, and mixed up his moves. I think he's a kid that's going to end up with several offers, a junior, so he's still got plenty of time. A guy that's probably going to end up being a D tackle, excuse me, but we'll see. Chris Carroll, powerful under the radar D tackle recruit, maybe can play some 5-star, 5-tech. We'll see. But I expect him to earn offers after winning several reps and gaining a D-line MVP award from the Under Armour group. That's a kid out of Hightower High School, just on the edge of Houston. So that helps, certainly. But I think he's a really good football player. Never have enough D linemen, man. Geraci Carson, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Lanier High School in Jackson. Carson is a national recruit for a reason. He caught my attention in the one-on-ones, but probably caught the attention of just about everybody. Big body guy, a lot of power, lateral movement. I'm guessing 300 pounds, give or take 5 to 10 pounds. He just looks like an SEC defensive lineman. I didn't talk to him afterwards, so I don't know his complete list, but he's got the offers. I looked him up. Look, if you're looking for linemen, there is no better state than Mississippi. It is insane how many linemen come out of there, especially Jackson. It is truly incredible. Jaden Keelan, kid that I know well. He plays with us with Coastline Stars. And I knew he was a good football player, but I thought he would be better in more of a traditional setting because safeties in one-on-one usually aren't that great. He won DB MVP. Safeties, especially underclassmen, that is just unheard of. He plays at John Curtis, one of the most prominent programs in the country, but still, I didn't expect Jaden to be that good in man-on-man. He won his first rep, and I'm like, oh, good rep by Jaden. But he had a couple more like that where it was just total lockdown. And I'm like, that is not normal for a safety. He's taken to his craft. Last year at the same event, he was okay, but he wasn't quite ready for the moment. And Coach Cox, who coaches the DBs, if you know, you know, he takes no mess. We talked about him last year at this same event. We're like, this kid's got a really bright future. I didn't think he would hit this level yet, but Jaden has really, really improved his ability to play in man. That's the bottom line, because every play, regardless of how you start, even if it's cover 4, cover 7, whatever, it ultimately ends in man because you got to be on a guy to take the ball away or to prevent the pass from happening at all. Jaden did a great job of pushing guys at the perimeter, leaving a small window, wasn't too handsy. He's still a physical guy. But as far as safeties go, not many are going to cover better than him. And he's got the frame to be an in-the-box safety, too. That is conservatively a top 100 recruit in the class of 2028. Braylen Bedford, another 28 kid, Brentwood Academy, natural cover guy, change of direction, all that stuff. Need to watch him more, but I wrote him down. Then I went through Sam Spiegelman's list on Rivals. I'm like, oh, I remember that kid. And he was talking about him. I don't know him as well as Sam does, but that's a kid out of Tennessee that is really good in his list. I had no idea it was to this point. LSU, A&M, Penn State, Florida State, Auburn, all over the country. I expect him to get a ton more. Not the biggest guy, but he can just pick him up and put him down and might be able to play like the traditional nickel against smaller guys, but I think he'll be a field corner at the major P4 level. Finally, Greedy James, cornerback out of Manville, Texas, committed to the Texas Longhorns. Still going to take visits. We'll talk about that in a second. Elite cornerback skills, showed it during one-on-ones. He only lost like one rep that I saw. Maybe he lost on the other side because they move guys around. But he just has like some of the longest legs. Like you could nickname him Spider. His legs are super long. He's over 6 foot. He plays just outside of Houston, so he's used to the comp. Great kid. And I'm not surprised by Texas going after him, Notre Dame going after him, TC's been after him with multiple staffs. Kentucky's in there, which was interesting. He's got a visit, but just a great kid. I don't think that there's any doubt that he's going to be a guy that you're going to see his stock rise. I think some services have him as a 3-star. There's no way that Grady James is a 3-star kid. That is an elite prospect, and I expect him to continue to rise. Here's the list that he gave me for the visits. He's got TCU May 29th, Kentucky June 5th, Notre Dame June 12th, Texas June 19th. Again, TCU May 29th, Kentucky June 5th, Notre Dame June 12th. And to finish out his OV schedule, Greedy James has Texas on June 19th. We'll see where he goes, but again, he's technically committed to the Horns, but I think that one's pretty open. All right, now let's kind of go through the chat and just have some fun. If you got any questions about team stuff, we'll do that here in a second too. I'm going to make some comments about Ole Miss, LSU, etc. But fire away. If you got a question about Penn State or anybody else, I'm more than happy. Let's see what we got here. Salty, how you doing, man? The delayed luggage got to LAX and then to my hotel later that night. The wedding I was attending wasn't compromised. All's well that ends well. I remember you saying that last week. That doesn't sound good. I know that Texas quarterback commit Greedy James is very comfortable with their cornerback coach, Mark Opry. You've told me that much, but how interested is he in Notre Dame? Is it more than interest in TCU? TCU's got a longer relationship with him. You got to remember, Notre Dame just changed staffs. Obviously, Mike Mickens is now with the Baltimore Ravens. Good luck to him out in the NFL. But he just is really curious. They've done a good job of recruiting him. He hasn't been to Notre Dame's campus yet. He's a South Texas kid. He was just south of Houston. That's going to be a yay or nay. In my experience with schools that are farther away in any circumstance, let alone one like Notre Dame that's very niche and very unique, kids usually know. They take that first visit. Is there a real chance? He'll know within the first 2 hours on campus. I can or I can't be at this place. So to that end, until he comes for the unofficial visit, he's taking one here pretty soon. Might be for I didn't get a date on his unofficials. It might be for the spring game. Not sure. But he's quite interested to see what they have to offer. And he's an articulate young man. I think that Greedy James could go to Virginia, he could go to Stanford, he could go to Notre Dame, or he could go to TCU, Texas, LSU. It wouldn't matter. He's a guy that can fit in anywhere. I think the OBs will tell the story. We won't know till late June, early July. Salty, do you think Isaiah Rodgers will be Irish when he announces his commitment later that afternoon? Yes. I will be surprised if it is not. What are your thoughts on recent Notre Dame commit Lathan Wissington, and how likely is it that he will start ahead of Noah James and or Javian Osborne and Jonez Walton? You mean like beat them out? Like it's hard to, like all those guys are super talented. I think knowing the playbook is the key to that. The older guys will have the better chance, but depends on who's healthy. Running back is a position of attrition. You got to have 5 at least. There's always somebody hurt. So I don't think it's really pecking order. I just think he's a bowling ball. He's kind of like a bowling ball with butcher knives. Wissington's got some speed, 10.54, but that's just a long list. Notre Dame is loaded at running back. Salty, Notre Dame has established cycles, Texas, Florida, Georgia. How have the Irish managed to achieve this success? Relationships. This is the same for every school. Obviously, Salty's a big Notre Dame guy. This is the same with anybody that recruits nationally. Kids pick coaches, not schools. Everybody out there that wants to throw things at their computer screen or their TV can, but that's the bottom line. They pick coaches, even parents now. Constantly, I'm talking to these people on the sidelines. Constantly. They're discussing the opportunity for their kid to go play at a school that gets them to the best point of having an opportunity to go to the NFL. That's how this works. So Notre Dame sells relationships, and Freeman's a part of that too. Salty, are you a Virginia Tech fan? No, he is a big Notre Dame fan. Though they take small transfer classes, the Irish have landed high-quality transfers, Oregon, Pitt, and Ohio State recently. Does weakening likely opponents fit into the transfer threat? It can't hurt, especially with Ohio State. I think everybody would like to hurt their roster. I hadn't really thought about that, though. It can't hurt. I mean, I would rather take one from Ohio State that they want than some FCS school because you're not going to play them. What are the best 7-on-7 events you enjoy going to? That is from Jared Moore in RV. That's a great question. The battle events, which I'll be at another one, not this weekend, but the one after, national event for battle. It is their tournament in Nashville, Tennessee, nationwide. California to Miami, Level 82, SFE, Coastline Stars, Cam Newton, you name it, Low Pro, everybody from coast to coast, Tucson Turf, they're all going to be there. And those are great tournaments because just about every kid has major P4 offers. Then you got like Low Pro, that's just a bunch of local guys that know each other. They just execute. It's a lot of fun. Katie, what's going on, Katie? There's a very interesting quarterback situation that could develop at Virginia if Chandler Morris gets an extra year. Morris, Purvula, and Holstein in the same room. First test of shadow portal rule on tap, ? That would be interesting. I have no idea if Chandler's going to get, what is it? Is it going to be 7th year? Somebody correct me, but I think that would be a 7th year for Chandler Morris. For the love of mankind, no offense to him, but I hope he doesn't get it. And I understand that he's looking to cash in. But these other guys are already transferred. That would be awkward, I think, and I'm not for spring portal at all. But at the same time, if he does get it, the other two should be allowed to explore. Just my opinion. Because quarterback, only one guy plays. That's just my take. So we will see if that happens. Salty. I was at Virginia 12 years, medical residency, fellowship, and faculty. So Virginia Tech is most disliked school. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. Katie, big O-line visits coming to Georgia and Miami. That's nothing surprising. I haven't looked at the complete list. For those, Katie, Salty, and everybody else in the chat, would you enjoy podcasts that just specific, I'd pick a school, LSU, Miami, Penn State, Michigan, whatever, where I just go down the visit list, talk about the players, talk about some of the visits? I think it would be fun for me, but would you all like it? I'm thinking about doing that, especially with some of the guys that are going to overlap, maybe mix in like the top 8 O linemen. Maybe I just did that, like the top let's say top 10 offensive tackles. I just went through their OB list, pull up 24/7, go over my notes, talk to a few people. Would you be interested in that? Why or why not? Salty. Jared, having posted that, I must admit that I'm cheering for James Franklin and Virginia Tech these days. I think Franklin got treated badly by Penn State, and Virginia football is better when Virginia Tech is good. That is a very objective point of view. Salty, when players say that they don't want to play in the cold, are they shortchanging themselves? Assuming that they have NFL aspirations, shouldn't they make Northern NFL teams comfortable? I don't know. Like, that's something he's going to get asked. I know you're talking about Easton Royal. He's a kid who lives just outside of New Orleans. It's a great question. Easton goes to Brother Martin. I had a buddy went to Notre Dame that was from Brother Martin. If you're great, they're still going to draft you and see if it works. Easton has world-class speed. I timed him a year ago at 4.29. It was electronic. Well, I didn't time him. The laser did, and I was filming it as he came towards me. They're going to take a chance on a kid that runs like that who's 200 pounds. He is a rare bird. I thoroughly enjoy this type of video. It says Hurricane Checks. Good. I'm thinking about doing offensive tackles first because the reason I bring them up, think about it. Off the top of your head, whatever school you root for, if you just follow it generically, how many really good, not just guys, really good offensive tackles jump in the portal? Not many. If you do not recruit really good offensive tackles, it's not going to end well for your program. Period. To that end, I think we'll do that. I'm going to talk about that on a show coming up. Get some opinions on it. I might do a little bit about O-line coaches too. I have a very strong opinion about a few O-line coaches that'll make a few people happy and a few people not so happy. It is what it is. There's always got to be a winner and a loser. But there are a few guys probably don't get the reps they deserve and the comments they deserve at some programs, including the guy at Indiana. Holy cow, did he do a great job last year. Katie, I have stopped paying attention to high school star ratings. I prefer researching which 3-star recruits flourish in which programs and the programs where 5 stars go to die. It's not stars, it's coaching. The only pushback with that is I don't think you're complete with that. I think it's a lot of off the field stuff. Let me give you an example. Ryan Williams was one of the best high school kids that I've seen. Went to Alabama a year early and was dominant, even as an early enrollee, a full year at Bama. Got the money in his pocket. I just don't think he was as good last year. He was their 4th best receiver by the second half of the season. You're not going to convince me that Ryan Williams isn't super talented. He ran 10,300 meters as a sophomore. That's insane. In high school, by the way. Not talking about at Bama. In high school. And he's got good hands and all that. He's very competitive. But sometimes money and things off the field are also a big part of this. The NIL, you got to be careful. And then secondarily, you're right about the coaching, but there's another step to that. It's trying to put the right pieces together. That's part of the back office staff. The coach has got to hire the right people under them, not just the head coach like a Signetti or a Kirby Smart or a Marcus Freeman or a Mario Cristobal. Assistants got to promote from within occasionally, et cetera. All those pieces go together to maximize the talent. College football is not algebra. It is Calc 4. It is hard. If you do not have the right formula, you will get annihilated regardless of how the individual stars line up. Because then guys aren't maximized because they don't fit. Great example. I still don't think he was great, but DJ Uiagalelei was pretty decent at Oregon State. Transferred to Florida State, wrong system. He was terrible. You got to be at the right place at the right time. Hurricane Chicks. What are your thoughts on Sean Tatum? Sean Tatum. Why am I blanking on who that is? Somebody inform me who Sean Tatum is. I am not sure. And it's been a long day. I didn't get hardly enough sleep. But at the same time, please let me know who that is. Since we're doing a live show, I'm not going to look it up, but I'll be happy to answer if somebody gives me a heads up. Yes, Smitty, I would enjoy school visit rundowns very much. Good. I will continue to look into that. Again, thinking offensive tackle because it's so important. Quarterback will obviously be up there. You can kind of go from there. I think those shows are really important. Gives me something to talk about that everybody's curious about. And now that we're at the end of March, we go into April, some visits are going to take place. we got visits coming up. I think the quarterback from Chicago, I don't know if this is real or not. There's a kid up there that's really, really good. It's looking at schools all over, but Purdue has a chance to get him. He's got an April visit to Purdue. They're allegedly one of the leaders. That's just what I'm told. So take it for what it's worth. Katie, yes, I would enjoy that a lot. Good. I'm glad I came up with that on the fly. Hey, y'all. Hello, Brian. That is from Tommy Guns. Tommy, what's going on, man? Glad you are doing well. Please jump in the chat. Hurricane Chicks, absolutely. School breakdown would be great. Yeah, like Miami and Georgia and some of the teams that finished the top 10. But I haven't got to it yet. I mean, looked at them. Raise your hand in the chat if you would be interested in Virginia Tech's OVU list. I want to wait a week or so to do it. I want to get early because I got to do some research. But I'm fascinated with Virginia Tech, too. I'm going to do some schools. I'll do Notre Dame and USC, Texas, some of the big ones. But I really think that Virginia Tech could be fascinating. They're going to be the fly in the ointment for a lot of teams because they're all of a sudden going to have a chance to at least push their way into the national picture because Franklin can recruit. So can his staff. Salty. T-Guns, what's up? Tommy, Brian, do you have a deal with Oakley? No, I do not. My Oakley collection is actually this is only part of it, to be honest with you. Not even kidding. But I have a lot of other stuff. It's a lot of old collectibles, most of them in the back, especially over my left ear here. Those are X metals. It's a rare, they don't make them anymore. I just love them. They're expensive, but that's my one passion that I probably shouldn't have, but I have a bunch of them. Salty, what's going on? I see you keep them pretty protected. Yeah, those cases are stretch line cases. They're extremely rare. And they're actually more expensive and rare than the glasses themselves. They didn't make very many of those. I want to make a couple of comments now in regards to a few of the schools. Just who's hot, who has done some good things based on all the intel. And again, my list was just partial. I did a pretty good job of keeping up with as many kids as I could, under the radar, all that stuff. But these are the thoughts that I have that are at least somewhat surprising to me, but probably shouldn't be. LSU is being a little pickier in some ways with Lane there. I mentioned Ty Keese. It's from Poplarville, Mississippi. If I remember right, that's down in the southwest corner of the state. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it is. It's more Louisiana area right there than it is Mississippi in some ways. Like who they root for, the way they do things. It's not that far to go across the border in Louisiana. It's closer to LSU than it is to Ole Miss or Mississippi State. Both of those are in the northern part of the state of Mississippi. LSU has an offer. They're being more selective, and I found that very interesting. Now, they're still going after like Miguel Whitley and Easton Royal, guys that in the New Orleans area. I think LSU's mainstay will always be there in Baton Rouge. By the way, Baton Rouge is actually bigger population-wise than New Orleans now, but the point is still remain. LSU can be pretty fickle. They've got a lot of money, obviously, based on their offseason, which they have completely went around all the rules the NCAA will never enforce in regards to how much money you spend on NIL. But to that end, they're being picky about in-state. I posed the following question, because LSU is a national program. Would you, if you're LSU and Lane Kiffin, really go all in year one of your full recruiting cycle and try to keep 10 to 15 kids home come hell or high water, or would you just take the best players available regardless? LSU, to me, is the most fascinating because that state is, in my opinion, from traveling the country, that state is the most loyal of any state in the country. Players staying home, it's LSU. That's why, no offense to the state of Alabama, it's a little harder there. Believe you got Auburn in state too. Alabama, to me, is a harder job than LSU. As crazy as that is, because the state of Louisiana, you can get 10 kids a year. They're top 100 level players some years. Not kidding. It's that easy. And they all wear purple and gold pretty much growing up. Very, very rarely. Unless the kid's a transplant, is a kid from Louisiana, not an LSU fan. It's insane. So to that end, should Kiffin really make an effort to make all the people locally happy, coaches, 7-on-7 coaches, trainers and all that, or to say to heck with it, I'm going all in top players regardless? Something to think about. Ole Miss. Without a doubt. I knew they were going to have a lot of Mississippi players at this event, and they should. But the number of kids from Mississippi, just from the buzz, speaking with players, etc., they've expanded out. Last year, they go to the playoffs. They almost make it to the final game. They have Trinidad Chambliss. It's a great story, the whole Kiffin saga aside. They have made noise in recruiting this year more than they ever have in any offseason in my life. My good friend Stephen Willis will be happy about this. He runs Locked on Ole Miss. If you need anything Ole Miss related, check out Locked on Ole Miss. Stephen doesn't miss much. To that end, I think Ole Miss, if they want to go this direction, they could have a top 10 class. But my question, and I don't even know if Stephen knows this completely, will Ole Miss go all in on high school recruiting, reducing the number of transfer portal players after the 2026 season? So you need some kind of numbers, 23, 24 guys to be a top 10 class probably. Could Ole Miss do it? Absolutely. Do I think they definitively will and or should? That's debatable. But I do know the following. Ole Miss has a lot of talent on that roster, and they're going to be good again this year. I think, what was it? FanDuel put them at 6.5 or 7.5. I think they're going to win 9 games anyway. I think they're a great chance to make it to the playoff again. Their schedule is hard, definitely harder than last year. They had one of the easier schedules in the SEC. But Ole Miss is really reaping the benefits off last year. And if Trinidad comes out hot again, if they can win a few games, especially like Georgia, etc., LSU, that is a program that could end up with a top 10 class. Texas, Easton Royal just visited Tennessee. I talked a little bit about him. Want to go back to that. He's out in the New Orleans area, plays at Brother Martin, plays for 24Ks, Cold Hearts team in 7-on-7. Great kid. I think that Easton is as good a player as there is in the country at his position, a wide receiver, but his list is unique. All SEC schools, down south, Ole Miss, etc. The Ole Miss LSU thing's interesting. He's going to visit both those officially. He's got Tennessee, he's got Texas, he's got Florida. That will be a player that's a trendsetter, because if somebody like Ole Miss can get him, that changes the direction of that program from a mental standpoint. They don't get 5-star receivers that LSU wants. Not out of state. In state, they do sometimes. If they could go down to New Orleans and flip him from Texas, that would be a very big thing for Ole Miss. And it would still be an out-of-state loss to LSU. Right now, he's committed to Texas. So that's something interesting. Also, on the verge of the Texas Longhorns kind of becoming a more national team, that's another question, kind of like LSU. Should Sark recruit a little more nationally, or just, I'm not saying go all in like Mac Brown did. He used to take on 1 or 2 kids a year from outside the state of Texas. It worked pretty good for him. Recruiting's different now, and Sark recruits nationally more often. But what about taking 12 kids from Texas that you really want and then just kind of cutting it off and then it's letting it go everywhere? Or should he go up to 15 to 18 kids every year, minimum, from the Lone Star State? Obviously, a 5-star like Easton Royal wants to come. Okay, that's a top 20 recruit in the country. That's easy. Mac Brown would have done the same thing. But those guys from outside the state that are possibly long-term prospects, should you just not recruit them? Try to keep the ties in state? Texas coaches are very loyal, but there's also the other side. When you go against what they want, that's a problem. That's a big problem. So I'm curious to see what they do now, because their program and their roster is kind of set. Many people think a lot of that Texas roster, me included. I think it's top 3 roster probably in college football this year. It just comes down to Arch and a ridiculous schedule. By the way, I think it's week 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. Week 2, Texas hosts Ohio State. Might be the game of the year in college football this year. Really good. I'm curious to see what Texas does this year with the recruiting. They're in on more kids nationally. They're recruiting more in Florida and Georgia and Alabama than they ever have. Is that the right plan? I don't know. And lastly, just kind of looking at the teams that are going in, I want to mention Georgia. They're still being selective when they recruit out of state. Into my thought process, yeah, this is the team I would pick. Out of all the teams, it's not surprising here. They recruit nationally well. I think Georgia does it the best. Here's why. You could argue the state of Georgia is the best in the country, and it's my pick for the best combination of talent, balance of talent, safety to quarterback and back and forth. And then also elite high school coaching. They pay their high school coaches insane amounts of money, so they're better prepared. than a lot of other states. And he recruits in-state a lot. 15 to 20 kids a year are going to go to UGA from in-state. But when he cherry picks from North Carolina or Louisiana or from Ohio or Pennsylvania or whatever, Kirby gets the dudes. This is what I was talking about with Texas. I think Kirby does the best job, and I give credit to the entire UGA staff. He does the best job of picking out spots to make it work. It's not easy to be that school that everybody goes after. They want to knock them off. So when they come in your backyard, they're going to go all out. But the Georgia Bulldogs, again, Virginia, Texas, they get somebody every year that the in-state school will do anything to keep, and they get them 2 or 3 times. But they don't abandon their home base. They were mentioned quite a bit with some of the kids, not only at the Under Armour event in Atlanta, obviously that was almost every kid, but in Florida, you hear about it. New Orleans. They stay involved everywhere, and then they make their choices as they go along, and they wait a little longer into the game to make those out-of-state pushes. Kirby is infamous for making a late push for a kid and winning it. It's pretty intriguing. Thank you very much for checking out the Portal Podcast. It's been a lot of fun today. I will have, again, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, Instagram Stories, TikTok, all kinds of stuff going on at FB Scout _Florida on Instagram and X. At the Portal Podcast, I believe is TikTok. YouTube Shorts will be a bunch. Like every morning around 7 a.m., I'll have something for like 3 weeks from this event. I use that every morning to kind of start just to get people to look at it. Make sure you check them out. There are tons of good videos. And again, like I said during the Mazda video, hey, there are a lot of independent people that do stuff like me that I end up getting in place with the Portal Podcast. Give them credit too. When you see or like something, retweet it. Send it to your Instagram store, whatever. Independent journalism and videography is a big part of this industry, and you could be helping some kid get an offer. You'd be amazed. Thank you very much for checking out the Portal Podcast. We will see you again soon.